me after, but hey, here we go. All right. Okay, let's see what happens. Alpha workshop. We're here on the last of every month at Pempamsie in Halsden. So let's get started. Okay, so Iwa Oji, there is Iwa Oji Igbo is what we're talking about for this first slide. I greet everyone. In Igbo, it is said Onye wetara Oji wetundu, which means whoever brings out kola nut brings life. The breaking, blessing, and sharing of Oji is a custom directly inherited by us from our Ndiche, our ancestors. It's forbidden to break the kola nut after sunset. Instead, we present the kola nut to the eldest man in the group to take home with him, so he will break it in the morning as the sun rises. Iwa Oji is one of the most sacred traditions given to us by Ndiche. It brings unity, happiness, life, peace, and vengeance when offered to the Mwo, which is the ancestral spirits, for vindication and retribution. Traditionally, women do not break the kola nut. We can cultivate, break, and eat the oji in private. In the home or where guests are present, women always present oji to the men. This is because in Odinana, we have specific traditions for women and for men. It's not imperative, it is imperative, in fact, to note that this does not represent any discriminatory intentions or a diminished position of women in the society. It is a cultural expression reserved to the male gender, just as other expressions are reserved for women in our tradition. Oji anagi anu beke, which means basically Oji does not speak or understand foreign languages or English. Breaking of Oji must therefore be done in the Igbo language. So I will present this Oji to our co-host, Buliaku Eze Madekwe, Ndigboo. Ndubanyi Nekwan Noji Aputala from Adeze Ogomaka, Uhuru Choma Umunem, which basically means the people of my place look at this evening's kola nut from Adeze Ogomaka. Good evening, my brothers and sisters. Good evening. Okay, so while we do get the orgy, I will continue with the introduction. So, Ndewo, which means welcome or greetings in Igbo. Welcome and thank you for taking time to come here. My name is Adeze Ogoamaka Akigwe, and I am the founder of Afristoricals. I established Afristoricals in 2003 to educate people and empower Africans who wish to reconnect with their roots and understand the true essence of African history. So over the years, I've established special relationships with some of the most notable Black history scholars. And my co-host is, his name is Buliaku. Let me just bring him in and he can introduce himself.
That's not what you're in the more against. So the audience, I'm still one of you, one and only Akajofo, a kind of in our ancient language, the one of the ancient people language, Igbo language. I'm greeting everyone. And I'm making on uncha. Number the tatabu eke bisizu. Eke is the first day in our weekly ancient counting. and today is Eke. And with the special opportunity I have to explain myself, I am once a pastor in a Lighthouse Gospel International, Olicon, Switzerland, for so many years. I was born and baptized a Christian. I've been an altar boy, went to seminary schools. But from my earliest childhood, I know something I adding up. And my quest for knowledge and the root of all these things. After so many years, I had to return to Nigeria some years after and went into deep consultations with our ancient ways of finding some mystery and deep things that goes with our lives. I found out, because I have been doing prayer and fasting and deliverance, family deliverance, for so many years. And the more prayer we pray, the more trouble, the more worse it's getting. You can have $1 million under your bed today, tomorrow morning. You don't know if you give account of it. So many strange things, but I'm using money, for example. This requires urgent, some strange things requires some urgent and decisive actions. So I went back home. In the process of that, I found out that I have what is called agu. And no amount of prayer and fasting. In fact, those things don't even work. You know? So finally, I visited a Dibia. A Dibia is like wise ones. You know, people who have gone through so many processes of our ancient ways of finding out hidden things, since things hidden in the realm of the spirit. I visited a Dibia who was able to help me with the challenges that I was facing. And he gave me everything I needed to resolve my problem. Since then, I have been practicing ordinary.
Thank you.
You know,
thank you.
I will join you again to put more. Thank you, everyone.
So, my beautiful people, that's our co-host who we'll see more of later on. Welcome to the only AFA workshop in the UK that teaches you how to truly connect with your heritage. Thank you for taking the time to come here. This AFA workshop is all about learning how to heal and repair your mind from spiritual slavery. Awaken the spiritual connections in your heritage and learn a new spirituality from an Ndigboo point of view. One of the most ancient inhabitants of Mother Earth. Now, when I say Africans, I'm referring to all Black people in this world, because if your skin is black, then you are an African descendant. Now, before we go into the topics of discussion today, I want to briefly go over the history of Ndigboo, so that everyone is on the same page and clear about the foundations of what we're about to learn today. Odinana Ndigboo. So, please, could everyone put their phones on silence so the vibrations are not disturbed? Okay, the Igbo people are one of the most ancient ethnic groups in the world. Before the intrusions of Europeans, namely the British colonialists, into Igbo land, Ndigboo naturally cultivated and practiced customs and traditions that were adapted to our own soil, our own climate, and our own blood. Igbo customs and traditions developed by our Indiche, our ancestors, helped us at that time to actualize our fullest potential as a people. Ndigboo we fought with one mind, we spoke with one voice, and we performed diverse but similar deeds through the common customs and traditions that we shared among us. We were held as one by Odinana. the Igbo traditional spirituality or science and flourished as a result of this. Igbo Ukwu means great Igbo, and the ancient town of Igbo Ukwu is considered to be the original location of Ndigboo. Ndiche Igbo Ukwu left behind a rich record of visual art with impeccable craftsmanship and a complex symbolism. Elaborate cast bronze objects that included ceremonial vessels, pots, stands, jewelry, and various ornamental regalia were found. Igbo Ukwu was discovered in 1939 when an Igbo farmer by the name of Isaiah Anozie dug up the several bronze objects. But it wasn't until 1959 when archaeologist Thurston Shaw requested the Nigerian government to conduct a formal excavations, which resulted in the discovery of two other sites. Sadly, the influence of Christianity caused them to label the first excavation site Igbo Azaya, after the Christian name of the farmer who discovered the site, as opposed to Anozie, or an Igbo name. The second excavation site was named Igbo Richard and contained evidence of elite burial for an individual. This individual was clearly of a great political, religious, or social status, or maybe all three. The human remains in the first excavation site contained over 100,000 glass beads, preserved textiles, elephant tusks, and cast bronze regalia. Further digging revealed objects which they promptly named Igbo Jonah. So the second excavation revealed a more preserved ceramic shards, additional bronze objects, and more glass beads. These discoveries confirmed that Ndigboo Ukwu, Igbo Ukwu, Ndi means the people of Igbo Ukwu had considerable material wealth and likely participated in significant trade both locally and internationally. Igbo Ukwu artists incorporated complex symbolism in their work of art. Radiocarbon dating concluded that the bronzes, beads, potteries, and burial were from the 9th century to the 11th century Christian era. Some Eurocentric and Igbo Christian scholars have questioned Shaw's conclusions, arguing for an even later date of the 15th century Christian era, that's AD. So no doubt to make it appear that after the arrival of the first Portuguese in West Africa, today's genetic research revealed that Ndigboo are one of the most ancient people on Mother Earth. So the true age of Igbo Ukwu must be much older than the 9th century Christian era. Now, the glass beads discovered in Igbo Ukwu have also been found in Egypt, and even as far as India. This would suggest that the people of Igbo Ukwu traveled far and participated in a vast and complex global trade network that connected societies across Africa to the greater world. Scholars continue to search for answers about how society in ancient Igbo Ukwu was organized and what led to the apparent abandonment of the site, in which so many objects of ceremonial and aesthetic significance were held. No doubt the calamities and side effects of the fleeing migrants driven from their homes by the abrupt intrusion of Europeans and their trade of human beings led to the sudden decline of Igbo. So when the first Europeans intruded into our territory, Ndigboo were mapped as part of the Kingdom of Benin. There was a massive generalization by the colonizers. Their misconception of that all of Igbo land was conquered by Benin Kingdom may have started because of the similar architecture found in Igbo land. You can see here the pyramid structure that was very common in Igbo land. Excuse me. So you can see, note the emphasis as well on the triangular or pyramid roofs. The ancient Igbo built step pyramids, which are located in Nsude on the Udi highlands of Enugu. And these step pyramids, by the way, they predate the Egyptian step pyramids. So our Ndiche also developed one of the earliest writings of humanity, which is called Nsibidi. Nsibidi is a system of proto-writing developed by Ndiche, our ancestors. The Europeans have classified Nsibidi as pictograms to prevent it from being classed as written script. Nsibidi is an ancient system of graphic communication indigenous to Ndigboo and is also used by neighboring Ibibio and Efik people. And so cowrie shells are the most widely known pre-coinage currency in the world. And there are two species of cowrie shells that were used as currency. And their acceptability varied from one area to another. The large type of cowrie, which is the Europeans called Cypria annulus, was preferred in the western region of the River Niger. To the east of River Niger, the smaller type was also more common. But the Europeans, they called this smaller type Cypria monita. So in Igbo land, the large cowrie shells are known among the people as Mbudambu or Mwefe or Okpokpo. Okay, so these cost 1/3, the large cowries cost 1/3 of the small ones, known as Ayola. Okay, so the cowrie shell is also known by people by different names among different ethnic groups in Nigeria. For example, the Yoruba, they know it as Igvo, or Bosjes, or Bossies in Benin. Okay, so the cowrie shells were also used in ancient Kemet, where it was used for magical purposes. Ndigboo also used cowrie shells for magic or juju. Now, our Ndiche also developed one of the earliest materials of humanity, which is called akwete. As soon as Europeans saw the designs, they took the press designs to Europe. And today, places like Holland and Switzerland continue to manufacture African materials back to Africa. Akwete material has recently become more popular among Christian Igbos, who are now starting to return very slowly back to their original culture. Now, Igbo land is found in what is called the Bight of Biafra by the Portuguese. And today, Igbo land is popularly referred to as Biafra since the 1960s. It was in July 1967 when war broke out between Nigeria and Biafra. Nigeria, ultimately, they won the war with the aid of the British and their allies, who helped them set up food blockages that slowly starved the entire Igbo nation to death. Official figures state that 3 million people died during this time. We believe the figure passed well over 10 million people who were killed, and that included 6 million children who were killed or starved to death as a result of the blockade and the Biafran War. It was a modern day genocide. Frederick Forsyth, who witnessed some of the atrocities there, wrote a book about the genocide of Igbo people called The Outsider. If we take a look at this earliest map, which was designed to explain which African nations were or are owned by the because they are still owned by the British, the English, the Dutch, or the Danish. It was created by geographer H. Mole and sold by T. Bowles in London around 1975. Now, you can see how the European mind thinks when he renamed parts of Africa according to which commodity or chattel they were stealing from Africans. As you can see on the far left, you can see where Sierra Leone region is. They named it Grain Coast, where we find Ghana, ancient kingdom of Ghana, Dahomey. We find it's called the Gold Coast. Next door is the Slave Coast, and so you see, as we can see, Igbo land has been demarcated as well under part of Benin Kingdom. The rest of Igbo land has been demarcated under the western parts of what we call today Cameroon. Now, we will call Igbo land Ana Igbo, okay? Ana Igbo, which literally means the land of the Igbos. Official figures state that it was just an estimated 14.6% of Igbos that represented all the enslaved Africans that were taken from the Bight of Biafra between 1650 and 1900. This figure is misleading, as recent DNA studies of African Americans reveal that over 60% of African Americans have Igbo DNA in their genetic ancestry. The Kingdom of Inri and the independent Igbo states did not practice slavery. And in fact, enslaved Africans from neighboring lands would often flee to these kingdoms in Igbo land in order to be set free. Arochukwu, on the other hand, practiced a system of indentured servitude that was remarkably different from chattel slavery in the Americas. So indentured servitude works like this. An employee who's the indentee, he signs an agreement which is the indenture, to work without pay for the owner of the indenture for a period of time. Common reasons for agreeing to these terms would be for transportation to a new location or to pay off debts. On completing of the contract, the indentured servant was given their freedom and were free to leave. Now, this is entirely different to chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is the enslaved person is legally rendered the person's property, which is chattel, which is why it's called chattel slavery, of the slave owner. And much like owning a sheep or a cow. Chattel slavery is the type of slavery that was introduced to Africa by the Arabic and European forms of enslavement. Now, this form of enslavement rendered the person the property of the enslaver. They were forced to work for their masters for the rest of their life with no pay and no freedom. It was during this long time that Europeans eventually began to encroach on Ana Igbo. Okay. Now, this caused kingdoms like Arochukwu to desire to look for weapons to defend themselves. In order to obtain European weaponry, Arochukwu began to raid villages of other Igbo kingdoms. They then kidnapped those people regardless of the gender, social status, or age, and sold them to the European slave traders on the coast. Now, indentured servitude is a form of labor in which a person is contracted to work without salary for a specific number of years. The contract can be entered into voluntarily, and it may even be imposed sometimes as a judicial punishment. Now, ultimately, the people working the job as an indentured slave would maintain their freedom, and they could walk away from that contract at any time. Now, in Arachuku, another way people were enslaved was through the corrupted chief priests who reside in the cave temple complex known as Arachuku Long Juju slave route. Okay, so the deity there is called Ebony Upabi. Okay, Ebony Upabi. And this deity was deactivated by these priests so they could commit abomination, which is called Alo in Igbo. All Igbo practiced divination called Afa. Now, but the kingdom of Arachuku was different because it was headed by chief priests who were in charge of making decisions for the king. Now, during this time, if someone committed a crime they were in debt or something, or they did something that was considered as an abomination, for example, if you kill certain kinds of animals, this is considered an abomination. So that would be due to the association of that animal with a certain deity. So they would be taken to this cave complex to face the chief priests for sentencing. So the chief priests who had been compromised and corrupted by European slave traders would sentence these people to slavery, even for small crimes. The victim would be commanded to walk further into the cave so the spirits could devour them. But in reality, they were taken to an opening on the other side of the cave where they would be immediately loaded onto the waiting boats and then sold forever into slavery. Now, these boats would take them to a slave ship en route to America. So Igbo people who were known to be rebellious and would prefer to commit suicide than to be enslaved. Igbos represented the largest number of suicides in order to avoid slavery. Some recorded populations of people of African descent on Caribbean islands recorded 2,863 Igbos on Trinidad and Tobago in an 1813 census. There were 894 Igbos recorded in St. Lucia in 1815, 440 Igbos in St. Kitts and Nevis in 1817, and 111 in Guyana in 1819 census. Now, Igbo people and people of African descent in the diaspora are the most closely connected than most people think. Igbos were taken to Barbados in large numbers. Oluwadua Equiano, a famous Igbo author, abolitionist, and ex-slave, was dropped off there in Barbados after being kidnapped from his hometown in Igbo land. After arriving in Barbados, he was shipped to Virginia. At his time, 44% of 90,000 Africans disembarking on the island of Barbados between 1751 and 1775 were from Ana Igbo. Okay, so these Africans were therefore mainly of Igbo origin, and that's why Rihanna looks so much like an Igbo woman. Now, the enslavement links between Barbados and Ana Igbo began in the mid 17th century, with half of those African captives arriving on the island originating from Igbo land. Haiti also had many enslaved Igbos. In fact, there is a Creole saying of "Nous sommes Igbo," which literally means "we are Igbo." Okay, so aspects of Haitian culture that exhibit today can be seen in the Haitian Iowa or deity created by the Voodoo religion. Now, in the Carmel Moravian Church of Westmoreland in Jamaica, you will find the grave of an Igbo slave, Archibald Monteith, who lived from 1864 to 1880, or was in his recorded slave enslavement existed from that time. Now, Bonny and Calabar emerged as major departure points of enslaved West Africans destined for Jamaica's slave markets in the 18th century. Now, the bulk of enslaved Igbos were sent to Jamaica relatively later than other Africans from different ethnic groups. The heaviest of these forced migrations occurred between 1790 and 1807. The result of such slaving patterns made Jamaica, after Virginia, the second most common destination for slaves arriving from Anna Igbo. David Monteith has traced his path of his ancestors, and in 2006, a production company contacted him to make a documentary about his journey. It was actually shown on Channel 4 and was called The Last Slave. Now, the documentary followed David Monteith to Igbo land in search of his ancestors' birthplace. He then traveled to Jamaica in an attempt to understand something of what life was like for his great-great-great-great-grandfather. Now, the Igbo presence in the United States goes back to the country's earliest days and remains in the hearts of African Americans who are their modern descendants. From the mid-1600s to the 1830s, the US traded large amounts of kidnapped Igbo people and sent them to the states of Virginia and Maryland in order to work out, in order to work on the plantations, the tobacco plantations without pay. The presence of the Igbo people in this region was so profound that the Frontier Culture Museum of Virginia decided to erect a full-scale traditional Igbo village in Staunton, Virginia. Now, in 2003, an Igbo man named Professor Akuma Kalu Njoku was contacted by the staff of the museum to become the principal consultant in the building of the Igbo farm village. No doubt he petitioned them for many years. Now, this is why the majority of African Americans who have some ancestral connection to this region of the country have a significant amount of genetically verifiable Igbo ancestry. It has been proven that at least over 60% of all African Americans have at least one ancestor who originated from the Igbo kingdoms. Many African Americans are now tracing their Igbo heritage with the help of genetic testing and historical evidence. They are able to connect with their living relatives in Nigeria and re-establish links with their ancestral ethnic groups. So now, today you have the rare opportunity of learning how you can reconnect with your ancestors, your Ndiche. Okay, so today you will awaken your ancestral spiritual traditions and learn authentic African spirituality or science, which we prefer to call the most ancient African traditional science, or Ma'arts. Okay, so you will easily learn how to awaken the ancestral connections in your heritage and learn new spirituality from Ndigboo, one of the most ancient inhabitants in Mother Earth. We will cover these important aspects of Ma'at, Uwa, the origin of the universe, Afya Nano, the 4-day week, Ezumezu, the original spirits, Ndiche, the ancestors, Oji, the materials, Ipiacha Aho, which is grand rising daily ritual, okay, and Anabata Juju, which means ask me anything, okay. So please note, this is not a religion or religious service or church. This is an educational workshop. So let's get to it. Uwa is the origins of the universe. The Igbo's account for the origins of the universe tells of pre-explosion activity, which leads to the explosion, or what we now know or call the Big Bang. Okay, so the sound that the explosion made is called Uwa. Okay, and interestingly, the origins of the universe has been coded into the Igbo language and the numbering system called Onu Ogugu Igbo. So Onu Ogugu Igbo is an expression captured with the following sense within its roots. So we're going to break it down. Onu means mouth or one whole piece of something. Now, ogu means battle, to battle or to grab or to bind. Now, gu means to retrieve. It supports words like gufu, or gua. So that literally means to retrieve or count. Okay. Now, the origins of the universe was also encoded into the Igbo numbering system by Ndiche, our ancestors. So let's take a look at the first 5. So Okilikili, Okilikili, Okilikili. That's it. I had to get it. It can be difficult to get. So Okilikiliki. Okilikiliki. Is zero. It's basically zero. It means nothing. It means a state of being inextinguishable or never lost. Umbu is 1. It signifies the first ancestors on earth. Ndibo, we call on Ndi Umbu, the first females, Ndi Umbu, and Ndi Egede. Ndi Egede are the first males. Notice plural, not singular, guys. So we're not talking about an Adam and Eve scenario here. All right, there were more than one. First females, Ndi Umbu, and first males, Ndi Egede. Okay, so we call on them during our libations. Now, Ofu is also 1, but this time it is just the numerical word for number 1. Ibwa is the number 2, and it can also mean to spit out. So when we decode it, Ibwa is really explaining the spitting out or the ejection of the point that became pressurized within Ofu before the explosion. Now, Ito is the number 3 and means to be strapped or stuck and represents the final warning or last chance. There's a phrase that Igbos like to use when they're warning their children, you know. Buliako will be able to help us with this one.
In Igbo language, 1, mbo, warning is warning. 2 is be careful. And 3rd is the final, and that's it. Itogo.
Itogo.
You're done and dusted.
You're done and dusted, okay? So when we look at now thank you, Buliako. When we look at now, we look at number 4. Number 4 is Ino. Where's my mouse? Hold on. Okay, there we are. Thank you. Sorry, I've lost my pointer. Okay, the Igbo name. Sorry, let me go back. My mouse disappeared. Okay, so we got to Ino. So number 4, basically, number 4 means to listen or to stay or sit. So at that point in the numerical genealogy of Igbo numbers, we've heard whatever it needs to be, whatever sounds we've heard it, and are sitting in a state of togetherness again, but not the same as one or ofu. Okay. Now, ise is the final word number we're going to look at today. Ise is the number 5. Ise also means to blend or turning. And so we also say Ise at the end of any libations or proclamations, much like, you would say Amen as a Christian. So although Amen doesn't mean so be it, but that's another that's another debate. So yeah, we could go on to analyze the remaining 5 numbers all the way to 10, but I'm conscious of time, so we will uncover more details at future events. So the Igbo name for the ground or earth is Ana, okay, or Allah, but we prefer Ana. Now, Ana means the entire ground structure of the earth, starting from the topsoil called Enu Ana, to the core called Ime Ana. So Enu Ana means the earth's topsoil or surface area. In this sense, we can derive that there is connectivity of things from the surface of the earth. Ime Ana means deep earth, or the area from the surface of the earth inwards. So Ime has its roots in the words like Omume, or Ime, meaning like pregnancy. So this is why Ana, the earth female deity, is female in Igbo land and can mean going back to the source. So life, according to Ndigboo, is called Ndu. Undu is life. We break the word Undu down to find the root du at the end, du, which can connect with these other words, Undu, Odu, Adu, Undumodu, or Idu, which in English loosely translates to lead or tuber plant or to advise. Okay. Life basically means the combination of things that came together to form life. Okay. So it describes the Igbo worldview about the origin of nature, which is called Untu Anu. Okay, Untu Anu. In English, you could call it atoms. Untu Anu. The meaning of the atoms of a kind that came together to form life. So this is the Igbo worldview. Ibundu is the meaning of life according to Ndigboo. Okay, when we break down this word, Ibiundu, which means to cut, Bi means to cut or slice or end or live. So the process of living means to cut or separate the combined elements that form life. Okay. So this is why I prefer using the word science. And of course, onwu means death and can also mean lighting up or burning. Onwu. Okay. So, guys, we will now take a 10-minute break. And when we return, we will start to look at the Afianano, the Igbo 4-day week. So we're going to put on some music and just let me just check the. Oh gosh, thank you. Let me check the YouTube. Are we still live? Yes, excellent. Fantastic. All right, so we are going to go for a break. Let me just put on the music and let's see what we will do. Okay, there we go. Let's change it. Thank you. Yeah.
You don't mind it didn't come.
They're missing. They're missing.
Maybe they'll listen to it.
It's
not easy. People don't know what it takes. Knowledge is power. People don't know. I don't know knowledge is ones. I don't need to. Just attention. But only our brother, people I speak my people don't believe that. Trust amigo, they don't believe that. I speak. Practice, I know this people. You have to have the. I'm not problem. Yeah, that's what I have is so you provoke me. I'm different. Himself. Are you concept? showing me clothes. Where I was born, where my ancestors were born. What is showing me? 10 minutes from where I'm born, where my ancestors were born. You know what they do? I know what he's going to do. That's what he told me. My ancestors went 2,000 years ago. Sometimes somebody will ask me, I don't know what to say. They have the inspiration to answer. If I open my mouth, I will speak because I don't know. Well, learn it. And I will talk it from no truth. I know, now the same people. I mean, use everything, all this thing. Ghanaians have more. Not all Ghana man do. Like Yoruba, they don't commit to it. We want to know small English. You see, my friend had a mistress kid. People born in the village in a way can't speak English. And mistress boy was very angry. Very angry. They don't speak English. So don't go your mother. So not the people that are man. See the real man here? I told you, look at now. This is the real man. Because I'm not bringing that from God. So you are going to try to play. That never happened in Ghana and Yoruba. You just say you not organic. One day in Ghana, someone was going and sorting his assistants. One G came out and beat her off. Beat her off. Then from the Bible. The Bible. That's what we start to do.
What do you mean, no? How can you know? When the financial no.
Let me get on with part 2 and then we can. Oh, okay. It's just here. My car is just here. Yeah, you can take off the lights. Okay. Understood? Oh, okay. Maybe because this is plugged in. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to run everything on the same device. The mouse keeps disappearing. All right. Welcome back. We've just had a 10-minute break. If you missed the early part of this unique Alpha workshop, then you should look out for the recording, which will be sent to your mailbox. All right, let's see if we can reduce. Okay. Let's see. Not sure. Okay, good. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. So let's go straight into it. In Ordinana, we have 4-day week. We have which each day represents the 4 elements of the universe, of Uwa, or Chinua, as we like to say it. Each of these days have a Mo, which is a spirit or a guardian, assigned to it. Okay, they're a combination of both female and male, equally distributed. So let's take a look at the Igbo 4-day week, commonly referred to as market days. Now, Eke is the sacred python of Idimili deity. Amadioha is the Mo, the spirit for Eke, which is a male deity. There are serious social and cultural activities that are prohibited from on Eke Day. Okay, so there are things that you're not allowed to do on Eke Day. Eke Day is symbolized by thunder and lightning, or Oku, fire. Okay, that's why it's the first day of the Igbo week. Now, Oye, Orie, or is the Oye or Orie is the second Igbo day. Orie has power for life and prosperity, love and happiness. Ogugu is the Mwo for Orie, which is a female deity. It's associated with fertility. Orie is symbolized with Miri, which is water in Igbo. Then we have Afo. Afo is the third day, the third Igbo day, and the Mo for Afo is Anna. Anna is female, Mother Earth. It's associated with earth and land. Anna represents fertility as well as creativity and morality. Afo is symbolized with earth or land. So that is Afo. And then Unkwo is the 4th day in the Igbo week. The Mo Ikuku is the Mo for Unkwo, the spirit for Unkwo. And it is a male deity. It's associated with the breath of life. Mo Ikuku represents the largest of the elements, but it's the last day of the week. Unkwo is symbolized with Ikuku, which is the air. Okay, so there are 13 months in the Igbo calendar, and most festivals in Ana Igbo take place according to the lunar cycle. Now, the first month of the Igbo calendar is generally recognized as taking place in the Gregorian month of February. Okay, so that the Ndigboo, they call this month Onwa Mbu, Onwa Mbu. Okay, now Onwa Mbu is the new year, which is celebrated on the first Eke day of the month, the Gregorian month of February. Now, Onwa Itolu, it marks the original Inri Igbo New Year and yearly counting festival known as Iguaro. So the first month was changed to early February by the Inri Kingdom in the late 19th century. All right, so Ndigboo have 2 New Years. One is on the first Eke day of February, and the second is on the first Afo day in March. Now, the super full moon appears in April. Igbos call this month Onwa Iri. Now, if we fast forward to August, Ndigboo celebrate Onwa Ife Jioku, okay, when the harvest festival called Emume Onwa Sato takes place on the 8th month. Now, this month is dedicated to the Yam deity Ife Jioku and Njoku Ji. And the Yam rituals are performed in this month for the New Yam Festival. In August, the Igbo month of Onwa Alomchi sees the harvesting of yam, venerating mothers and motherhood, honoring womanhood, and remembering one's first mother, which is the woman of which creation, or the first women of which all humanity and creation began. Now, in September, the Igbo month of Onwa Ilo Mwo sees a festival called Onwa Asato. So that's the Igbo 8th month and is held in September. So in October, the Igbo month of Onwa Ajana. Onwa Ojana or Anna or Allah is the Igbo earth goddess, and rituals for this deity commences in this month, which is why it's named after her. Now, in November, the Igbo month of Onwa Ajana sees the Okike ritual, which can take place in the previous month as well, Onwa Okike. So during December, the Igbo month of Onwa Uzo Alosi is when we celebrate the Igbo Ofala festival on or around the 28th of December. Now, the first full moon in January marks the beginning of the 13th month in Ndigboo. We call it Onwa Iri Nano. Onwa Iri Anano. Now, this literally means the 13th month. Now, we're going to look at the next section. So that was, we just covered the Igbo week, and we covered the years just now, the Igbo months. So now we're looking at the next section, which is all about Ezumezu, the original spirits. Now, Ezumezu is a system of logic that resides within every individual, often referred to as your spirits, both good and bad. The concept of Ezumezu is derived from an African worldview. Ezumezu logic is African in inspiration, but universal in application. The Ezumezu deity is called Agwu. Agwu is a deity whose feast is celebrated in the 5th month of the Igbo calendar. It's called Onwa Irinato, when the penumbral lunar eclipse is visible in Ana Igbo. Agwu is the power and force that propel all human endeavors. It is physically represented by a masquerade. Now, Agwu has 4 great powers, namely personal power, Ikenga Agwu. Personal Agwu is associated with good luck, fortune, medicine, and oracle. Mother and father power is called Nne na Nna Agwu. Nne and Nna Agwu. The mother and father Agwu is associated with guarding and guidance. Then we have the pilfering power of Uru Agwu. Pilfering Agwu is associated with pilfering and unable to save anything or wastage. And then traveling power, Ukwu Ije. Traveling Agwu is associated with vagabonds and accidents. Okay, so Agwu deity is so uncertain that Many people dread it, especially the pilfering and the traveling ones. But those who do discover the effects in the personal and parent Agwu, they use them to prosper in life, especially in medicine. Now, Agwu is the most active spirit that helps you do ma'arts. That ma'arts is the most it stands for the most African, ancient African traditional science. Okay, the most ancient African traditional science. When Agwu asks for your services, it comes after you. Agwu spirit is the spirit behind divination and healing. Now, no one seeks for Agwu unless Agwu seeks for you. Agwu spirit, when settled, will help you for the sole mission for which you have been called. It is not a must that you will become a dibia or a spiritualist or a herbalist or a root worker when Agwu asks for your services. When you set, when you just have to appease your Agwu. So when you set to answer Agwu's call, you don't have a right to give Agwu conditions for services. Okay, so not knowing that there's a good number of pastors in the churches today who have done their Agwu isi before facing their ministry. And that's why a lot of these pastors have huge success in the church, because they have done their Agwu isi before embarking on their church. Now, a good number of people who are running away from Agwu, they often call and run to the spiritualists. But the spiritualists that you run to, they also have Agwu. So you can't escape it. Agwu is not an evil spirit, as the Christianity labeled it. It's a falsehood that good is evil. Okay? So Agwu is capable of doing many things. No one can define the services of Agwu, who has a vast number of services to mankind. The way Agwu communicates with you must be different from the way Agwu communicates with me. Now, this is the reason why we do Agwu for people upon spiritual directions. You must engage the person's Agwu through consultations to know what he wants and how he wants it. This is why we call it Ezumezu Agwu Ikenga. Okay, so you may have heard of Ikenga. Ezumezu Ikenga must have weapons for war, such as axe, blade, and other materials attached to it, with powerful roots and plants, such as Osusi Ofo. With all of these rituals done, your Agwu will be more powerful to fight your cause, whatever your cause is, whether good or bad. Now, with this true ritual formation, it's possible that after your Ezumezu Agwu ritual, no manner or power of what we call Amosu, someone that wants to give you hell or cause problems in your life, they will never be able to torment you. But the caveat is that you need to go and keep doing the necessary that your Agwu is demanding from you. Now, having given your Ezumezu Agwu more powers and weapons for war, because we're living in a world where we're at war, and your Uche, your mind, will first guide you. So let's now talk about Ndiche, the ancestors. Ndiche are our ancestors who have crossed over to the ancestral realm. Everyone has Ndiche, and it is important to remember and feed them to keep them active or acting in your favor. Okay? Ndiche are the spiritual aspect of humans that need food to survive, in the same essence as humans need food to survive in the physical realm. So this is why we must make sacrifices and offerings to our Ndiche. Now, it is generally believed that the Igbo people descended from a man called Eri, a divine figure who was allegedly, according to folklore, sent from heaven to begin civilization in Igbo land. Now, this is an example of how Christianity has contaminated the mythology of Ndigboo, who the Igbos today are the most faithful Christians. Christian Igbos have tried many times to match the history of Ndigboo to the stories of Rome and its Bibles. They say Eri was the son of Gad, and Gad was the son of Jacob from his concubine. Hello, insult. And it's mentioned in the Bible. So the region northeast of North Africa and the entire world, we should all know, was once populated solely by Black people. And all of these records of Black populations outside of Africa, or in what we call Israel today, were predating the Bible characters. So it is impossible for Ndigboo to have descended from anybody going by the name of Eri, who was the son of Gad. This is modern day corruption of the oral tradition. Now, we're going to learn about orgy, the materials that Ndigboo used to commune with our ancestors, with our Ndiche. Orgy is an important fruit. Buliaku, do you have your orgy that we can see? No orgy Igbo. Okay, no problem. Yeah, okay. Orgy is an important fruit that symbolizes peace, unity, reconciliation, hospitality, goodwill, and kindness in every Igbo community. Orgy is an important fruit. In most traditional Igbo homes, orgy is the first thing that is presented to the visitor as a token of appreciation and acceptance. So orgy plays a significant role in Igbo gatherings and ceremonies. Most times, orgy is included in a list of items needed for most of these ceremonies. And if you don't have your orgy, the ceremony may not hold. So before an occasion begins properly, orgy is usually presented, which we call inye orgy. Inye orgy is presented by the host and then passed on to a spiritual person or the eldest man in the audience for blessings, which is called Igor orgy. Igor orgy. Now, the elder typically takes the orgy in his right hand and makes a blessing, prayer, or toast using a proverb in Igbo language. Okay. Now, the Igbo language is used because it is believed that orgy doesn't understand English language, as we covered it earlier at the beginning. So orgy is then broken. The lobes are first separated into smaller pieces, which is called iwa. Iwa orgy. Iwa orgy, before presenting Ike orgy to everyone. Note there are four stages in presenting the colonat. You have inye orgy, when the host is presenting the colonat. Igor orgy, when libations are being made over the colonat. Iwa Iwa orgy is to break the kola nut, which can only be done at sunset or before sundown. Is forbidden after sunrise, after the sun has gone down. You never break kola nut. Now, Ike orgy, the fourth part of the process, is to share the orgy to everyone. In Igbo, it is said, Onye wetara orgy wetundu. So, which means whoever brings out kola nut brings life. We saw a demonstration we're going to see a demonstration by Buliako later, but Iwa Orji is one of the most sacred traditions given to us by our great holy ancestors. It brings unity, happiness, as we mentioned, life, peace, and vengeance when offered to Umwo ancestral spirits. And we offer it to them for vindication as well as retribution. So there's no forgiveness in Ordinana. People pay for their mistakes or their crimes. Now, Ose Oji is known as alligator pepper. It is a seed from a particular type of grass. When it is freshly brought out from the ground, it's wet and will have to be dried in the sun. Now, before you open Ose Oji, it has to be taken behind you to the back. Now, the reason is because Ose Oji is a spirit. And like every spirit, it forbids certain things to remain effective. Okay. If you open alligator pepper from your front, it will be ineffective. Okay. So alligator pepper is one of the gifts of nature that means different things to different people. So it is served with kola nut so that guests can entertain themselves when they break the kola nut. They dip it in a sauce, a peanut sauce, which is made with alligator pepper, called Ose Oji. As well, it is also common for it to be used as an ingredient in pepper soup, a spicy delight in most of Western Africa. Okay, so since the ancient times, in fact, alligator peppers have been used in traditional medicine and treat many diseases. So the alligator pepper plant also has both medicinal and nutritional values and spiritual. And the extracts of its seeds have been used as an antidote against many diseases. The study that was conducted on alligator pepper indicated that it is a stimulant and a diuretic. So basically, crushed seeds mixed with crushed bitter cola and water extract of bitter leaf, all mixed with a proper amount of water, is used to treat diabetes. Now, the whole fruit is eaten along with two moderately sized, ginger cures called berry. One whole pepper can be added to 3 seeds of ripe pawpaw, dried locust bean, all ground to make a soup, and is a remedy for female infertility. And so, unzu is the next material. Unzu is white chalk and is used in multiple ways as an offering. It's used as an offering to the deities and to the ancestors. It's used as a medicine, as a symbol of purity, of good fortune and hospitality. It is a sacred substance. Now, in Igbo custom and tradition, we use Edo the red chalk to calm the spirits of our ancestors down as we commune with them. It's a calming feature. Now, finally, Ndigboo, we use gin, alcohol, gin. It can be called gin or nkwu oku or nkwu ike. Okay, hot drink. Now, we've come to the part of our workshop where we're going to see a live demonstration of the way we should be starting our day with a grand rising daily ritual. Okay, so I want to welcome back Buliaku Eze Madekwe to give us a quick demonstration on what we should be doing as part of our grand rising daily ritual. So we just give Buliaku 1 minute to get ready. I think we need the light. Do we need the light?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go and switch on the light. And sorry.
Yeah. I'm on still.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, if you can do it there, it's okay. Don't worry about the camera.
Okay.
That's fine.
I will demonstrate it here.
I guess can see.
This is how we do it. First of all, like what she said when she was teaching, this is in the Bible, they call it mustard seed. They have their own fake one. This is spiritual seeds. This thing, when we demonstrate, I will show other things. The way we break it, before open this, you can't open it here. Because you don't want